We gather here tonight to bring women back to their rightful place.
The Testaments, a new Hulu original series from the executive producers of The Handmaid's Tale.
It's easier to accept a story than believe that the people around you are monsters.
The battle isn't over.
There comes a time when you have to take action, when you have to choose your own destiny.
Never quite as it seems.
Watch the new Hulu original series, The Testaments, streaming on Hulu and Hulu on Disney Plus for bundle subscribers. Terms apply.
Welcome back, Crime Besties, for another episode. Here we are again.
Hello.
It's Friday again.
Love it. Friday's best day of the week.
I think so, especially when you've had a week like you've had. You've had a busy one and lots going on.
Yeah, lots going on. It's been crazy. We've just caught up. We're nicely caught up.
Yeah, that's it.
Catch the people up now.
Yeah, that's exactly right. We actually haven't spoken a lot this week because you've been so busy. The boys have had those extra days with their dad, which means we don't see each other at pickup on those days,
well,
and
weirdly,
really throws things out, actually.
But weirdly, my boys have now decided that a kiss and go is the way to go.
Which wonderful for you.
I'm not mad at. Normally in the mornings, that's my clear threat. I can aim at them as like we're running late. If we are any later, guys, we have to do a kiss and go so you get you together. And they normally then like power through in 30 seconds we're in the car.
Yeah.
They've leaned into it now. And if that threat is okay, well, so we got like 10 more minutes then and we can just do a kiss and go. Like, well, yeah, if that's what you want to do.
Sweet. Especially on when the weather's been shit like it is today.
That and like, then I actually get to work on time.
Oh, yeah, that would help.
And I've said this, I was saying this to them for a long time, saying the whole like, kiss and goes aren't that bad, guys. No. Like, walk straight into school. Yeah. Like, you get more time to get ready.
Yeah. And
I get to work on time. Whereas if I walk in with them,
it's like 10 minutes, you end up chatting with someone.
Oh,
at
someone.
The school gate. Oh, God. Someone takes up all your time.
I mean, I don't get to work until like probably 20 past sometimes, like depending on what's happened, traffic, all those sorts of things.
Yeah.
Whereas, if I do a kiss and go with them, I'm at work by 9.
Yeah.
By 9 o'clock, like sort of stuff.
Love
so
that.
It's far better that I'm there on time.
Yeah.
So, like if that, I'm loving it.
Keep that rolling.
Yeah. Plus, it's easier because there's so much more time. We have a good 10, 15 minutes more in the mornings.
Yeah, because you're not having to find a car park.
This is it. And walk in.
Schlep in.
Yeah. Yep.
Greet the crossing lady.
No, I am loving the kiss and go, other than the other parents. Sorry.
Oh, the parking? Okay, so friends of ours, we've got a group chat and yesterday, so if we see shocking parking jobs, and we actually see shocking parking jobs a lot.
I'm sure everyone does around school.
It's so bad though. I'm like, anyway.
School parking is the worst.
But this one, I feel like this one takes the cake, the one that was posted
was bad,
yesterday.
especially when I spoke to them afterwards, like about the details of it.
Okay. Well, do you want to say what happened then?
Well, so the photo we got was literally what had happened was this car had just mounted the curb with the front wheels.
Like literally wheels. So they'd gone
front wheels.
They'd gone in bonnet first into a spot that wasn't quite long enough for them to like parallel
big,
park.
Like 4-wheel drivey ute thing.
It was like one of those like Dodge Ram type cars.
Too freaking big. And
massive.
Clearly someone who can't drive a car that big shouldn't be.
Yeah.
And they've pulled in like, bonnet first over the curb, 2 wheels up on the street, whacked the hazards on. So they didn't even know they've done the wrong thing by putting the hazards on. And then the mum in the passenger seat gets out with the kid and walks them in while dad sits in the car with the hazard lights on, parked like that. Mind you, the person who sent us that photo was there was 2 of them standing there. There was a clear, easy park for them in front of where they were standing, which was no more than, like 10 metres further down the street than where this ridiculous spot was.
Yeah. But people are just so friggin' entitled. It's actually ridiculous.
Absolutely.
And what makes you so special? But also, how dangerous is that to mount a curb where there's because this was at the kindergarten next to our school.
Yeah.
Like, you could have bloody hit. It's just so dangerous. So inconsiderate, but fuck, some of the parking. I sent one to the group the other day and it literally looked like this person had driven and just stopped in the middle of the street and decided that's where to park.
Yeah, yeah.
They'd sort of angled their front wheels slightly in, so I assume that meant that they thought that was okay.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
But even the kiss and go drives me mental.
Oh, yeah, that's shocking.
Like, because I pulled up to, like, today behind another car, and you kind of like, there's always that, do I wait and pull up and keep moving up with the other cars to, you know, let everyone else behind me get in?
Yeah.
Because I was down low, very low in the rung, that I was like, oh, what's the car in front of me going to do? And as I looked, the girl the schoolgirl got out of the car, bag on back, or before I even like blinked, you know, that I'm like, oh, that mum's going to pull out. So I'll wait and pull in further up so that the person behind me can pull in too.
Yeah.
Right? Nope. All of a sudden, driver's seat, door open, mum jumps out, walks around the car, standing there hugging her daughter. Oh, have a good day. And I'm like, okay, well, boys, this is it. We're here. Like, come on, you guys out. My boys were out, got balls out of the boot, all that stuff, boot closed, and I'm ready to go before she was even back in her car.
Yeah,
I'm like,
it kind of defeats the purpose of a kiss and go, doesn't it?
I mean, the kiss and go says 2 minutes.
Yeah, but
30 seconds is all you
30
need,
seconds,
peeps.
yeah.
Like, say your goodbyes.
you barely need to stop the car moving.
I'm like, as we're driving down like the main road towards where the kiss and go is, I'm like, right, boys, before we get there, right, tonight we've got this on, we've got that on. I'll meet you here and like, doing all the admin before we even get to the kiss and go, so that when we get there, you know, we've had the I love yous, have a great day, see you later.
Yeah, ta-ta.
Yeah, literally kick him out the door.
Yeah, bye.
Because then you can just, as I'm pulling out, I watch them that they've gone through the gate.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah,
and we're good.
That's it.
We're
You're
good.
fine. You know,
I mean,
the
they're
teachers
not-
are on duty by then, and
Yeah,
it's all good.
and I mean, mine aren't little, so it's, you know, it's
Yeah,
not like, I mean,
that's
God, I don't know how I'd go doing it with a preppy, but the girl in front of the car in the front of it was not a preppy. She would have been grade 4, grade 5, easy.
Yeah, okay.
Like kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I'm like, and that's not the first time that's happened. That's pretty regular.
It's just so annoying.
Yeah.
It's so annoying.
Yeah.
People are so selfish. Anyway.
Yeah.
Now, because we haven't had a huge amount of time to catch up, I did want to talk to you about a couple of things that have been in the media
get
this week.
nervous
that we
when you do
actually
this
haven't.
to me.
Like, what the fuck is she going to come
I'm
out
going to
with?
do like, I don't know anything.
So, the first thing I want to know,
Yeah.
how did you feel about Taylor Swift's announcement?
God. I'm sorry, I love Travis Kelsey.
So do I.
You know that he's in the new Happy Gilmore 2
Yes,
movie, right?
yeah.
I'm watching it with my boys and they'd watched it without me. And I was like, oh, well, we're watching it again because
Yeah.
I haven't seen it yet.
Yeah.
Mad Happy Gilmore. So we watched that and I'm like, hello, that's Travis Kelsey. And my boys are like, huh? What? Who?
Do they not know who he is? My kids know who he is.
I said, don't you know who he is? And they're like,
Such a
oh, yeah,
fucking-
Travis
he's
Kelsey.
in the zeitgeist.
They
He's-
knew who he was, as in like, oh yeah, Travis Kelsey's Taylor Swift's boyfriend.
Oh, but
I
didn't
just
know
don't
him to
think
look
they
at
knew
him.
who he was when they saw him. Like, and he does look a little bit different I guess a little bit.
Yeah.
But I'm like, no, that's there's no question about it. That's definitely him.
Yeah.
So, I loved her announcement.
Oh, me too.
And do you know what?
Yeah, go girl.
I have to say, like, their podcast, the two brothers. I mean, it's so bogan.
Yeah.
But I love it.
Yeah,
I love the bogan.
You know they got paid $100 million for that. If
I'm
anyone
sorry,
wants to pay us
hello,
$100
hello.
million, we'll take it.
Take it. Half that.
Sure. All right. Fine. Okay, because we're not dating Taylor Swift. Fine.
well.
We'll take half.
Yeah. But this is the thing. I feel like she really spoke to the people, you know, by
that's
being on
exactly
that, you know, bring it to the
right.
bogans as well, Taylor. Like, you know.
But I think, you know what I think? I think they are for everyone. And I think that's what her
yes.
announcement on the podcast
Yeah.
shows. They are for everybody. And, you know, a lot of the rhetoric around them is about how they are really approachable. You know, Taylor Swift is one of those celebrities who, you know, she'll go to a restaurant or whatever and she'll tip somebody $15,000 or
Yeah.
she'll pay for their college tuition and stuff like
Yeah,
that. She's an
yeah.
amazing person.
Well,
And she
and
doesn't do it for show.
No, and I love that about her. However, she is now like a billionaire, right?
Yeah.
Now, if her and, say, Selena Gomez, who is, I think, also listed as potentially a billionaire
she
now,
is, yeah.
the two of them are pretty good friends.
Yeah.
If the two of them got together, they could literally solve world hunger.
Yeah.
So that kind of, I don't know.
But then why does the responsibility lie on them?
But this is the thing that someone needs to start something of like the billionaires going, hey, we need to give back here.
Yeah.
Like, and I feel like they are the people that could potentially show what it should be looking like.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. They don't need to potentially do it themselves, but have a fairly good whack at it.
Yeah.
I think they've got to, like, I love that how they give back. They do give back. but I think they could afford to do more.
Yeah.
Yeah. But but I love how the two of them, like Travis and Taylor, I don't know, the way they banter.
Yeah.
I genuinely believe their relationship's real. I don't think it is a PR stunt. And I know that's
fully
something that's
agree.
out there, but
Oh, no.
nah.
I think it's genuine.
Yeah.
I think it's real. I have to believe that it's real.
Because I was kind of hoping, I knew the announcement was coming, and I'm like, oh, I hope she's pregnant.
Well, apparently, so I was listening to some commentary, and apparently she had a t-shirt tucked in, and someone was like, I think she's done that so that there's no speculation that this was a potential pregnancy announcement.
Yeah,
you can see how flat her tummy is.
It's flat.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
Yeah. Oh wow. I really hope that for them it's
It's forever.
It's a real,
I
real
like
deal.
it. Yeah, they're great. They're great.
Love it. Oh, and obviously love. Oh my God, having mental blank. Jason's wife. Jesus, what's her name? Kylie Kelsey. I love her podcast too.
Do you? I'm like, it's a bit samey for me.
Oh, okay.
I think I like her. I really like. She seems really down to earth, and great. But I've listened to a few podcasts of hers, and I'm like, oh, they're a bit samey.
Yeah, see, I mean, I don't listen consistently.
Yeah,
I've only listened like probably,
sporadically.
Yeah, sporadically.
Yeah,
So maybe like in that sense, I've enjoyed it.
Yeah,
yeah. Because I do like some of her conversations that she has with people.
Agreed. Yeah, she's also.
But I also love how humble she is in that she brings on people that like. She fully fangirls.
Yeah.
I'd fangirl over you.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
And then the other thing I wanted to ask you about, and I think this actually came out over a week ago, but we still haven't actually discussed it.
Oh, yeah.
Discussed it. And this is, those Skims, the new Skims face things that have come out? Have you seen these?
No.
So Skims have come out with
you're gonna Kim Kardashian Skims.
Kim Kardashian Skims.
Yeah.
Google it now. Get your phone out. Have a look.
Okay.
And just Google Skims face.
Do I need
thing.
photos or
photos.
images?
Yeah. So what it actually is, I'll try and give a verbal description of it, but it's basically like this thing that you wear overnight, Skims material, and it kind of it's meant to help define your jaw. I'm like, what the fuck has the world come to?
Well, there's a Shein version worth $6. Maybe we should give that a crack.
Might not have quite the compression of the Skims version.
Yeah. Hang on, the ear hole gets me.
I know. But then also I wouldn't, I get the ear hole though, because I wouldn't want
it would
my
really
ear in that.
Because I'm guessing this thing's fucking tight.
I think so. And the whole idea is that it helps tighten up
what I
your double chin.
I just scrolled and saw a picture of what's his name? Silence of the Lambs.
Hannibal Lecter.
Oh, God.
It is actually quite Hannibal Lecter-esque. Yeah, I'm like, what the fuck is the world coming to?
But also,
that we as women now need shapewear for our face?
No. But
Come on.
People wearing it in public.
Yes, people are wearing them in public.
Oh.
They're meant to be worn overnight, I think.
Yeah, that's what I assumed. And now I'm scrolling going, but hang on, these people are in public.
Yeah.
I thought you'd wear it overnight and then next day
I don't know, you're sucked in a bit.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Oh, no, sorry. I don't.
Compression for your face, that's a hard no from me.
Oh, yeah, hard no. Hard no.
Nah, man.
Yeah. I know, weirdly, Brody came home the other week going like, Mum, look, I've got a triple chin. I've got sucking his face back and stuff. And he's like so excited.
I'm like, oh, mate, you actually don't want that?
No. And he's like, goes, no, it's great. And he goes, what about you? Can you do it? I'm like, I don't need to do what you're doing. To get
I just need to
just, be me. And he goes, oh, you're so lucky.
Oh,
no, that's
out of the
okay.
mouths of babes. Isn't that beautiful? You're so lucky. Yeah, thanks, mate.
Thanks.
You. Appreciate that.
Skims in his world would not be.
Oh no, he wants an anti-Skims.
Anti-Skims.
He needs one that'll smush everything down.
It's like,
create the chins.
Ricky Gervais when he used to do that character in the bath.
Yes. So good. So good.
You tell yourself, no one wants your college-era band tees. But on Depop, people are searching for exactly what you've got. You once paid a small fortune for them at merch stands. Now, a teenager who calls them vintage will offer that same small fortune back. Sell them easily on Depop. Just snap a few photos and we'll take care of the rest. Who knew your questionable music taste would be a money-making machine? Your style can make you cash. Start selling on Depop, where taste recognizes taste.
Choice Hotels get you more of what you value. Here's a little tune to help you remember. Same drive, different day. Don't you wish you were getting away? Pack your bags and come on through. Texas, Ohio, Alaska, we're up there too. Comfort Inn, it's calling your name. Save on the stay. Oh, and free waffles are yours to claim. Well, I hope you like my little song. Book direct at choicehotels.com.
Now, we have so many shout outs this week.
It's insane.
Yeah. My first shout out is, this is to my mum's audiologist, Gavin. Okay.
It's a really random one.
So random. So first of all, Gavin, I have to say, number one, thank you. Thank you so much for making my mum wear hearing aids.
Is that a thank you? Do you mean
Oh, no.
Which would you prefer?
Oh, no, it's a massive thank you. She's resisted for a while, or she reckons they didn't work for her, whatever.
Yeah.
But it's actually so funny in our house in our family, because my mum and dad, when my nephew was really young, my youngest nephew, I think he was maybe he wasn't really talking yet. And we'd say to him, "Hey, Jack, what does grandma say?" And he'd go, "Hey, hey," because she can never hear anything any of us say. And then we'd say to him, "What does Pa say?" And he'd go, "Rah, rah, 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 rah," because Pa's a grumpy old asshole. Dad. Some of the time he can be pretty grumpy. Actually, our kids, the mum and dad had the 4 kids for a sleepover last weekend.
Oh, God, they're brave.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We had a 40th and Matt and Monica I think they had a 40th too. Anyway, and they had the 4 of them for a sleepover. Anyway, the day after the sleepover, I think it all went fine.
Yeah.
The day after the sleepover, Dad puts a message in our group chat, in our family group chat. "Who bloody picked all the mandarins off the mandarin tree? There's only one mandarin left out there, and we've been growing those all season." And blah, blah, blah.
That's hilarious.
Anyway, so I looked at that and I was like, lol.
Grumpy Russ.
Matt then filmed Jack and Louie asking them the question.
Oh, yeah.
And Jack's like, "Ollie ate them all."
Threw him under the bus immediately.
Yeah, threw him under the bus. No, turns out, I'm not going to name names, but somebody threw them over the fence, into the neighbour's yard. So wasn't my turn.
So the neighbours got a nice bunch of mandarins.
That's right. I don't know how good a quality they would have been, and whether I don't think they were ready for picking necessarily yet. So Pa was pretty bloody grumpy. But anyway, sorry. All that to say, thank you, Gavin, for being patient with Mum, because anyway, he loves true crime. He's listening to our podcast and loving it. Thanks, Gavin. Appreciate that all. God, that went on a tangent. Sorry.
No, that's all good. Tangents are great. We love it.
We've had a few Buy Me a Coffees this week. We've had someone who also gave an extra coffee so that we could buy it, or so that you can buy a plant for Kyle. Kyle needs his own fan base, I think.
This is hilarious. I'm sorry. You can have him.
Someone else wrote in one of the comments like, "I'm here for the Kyle content." I'm like, fuck, are we going to have to do a fucking Kyle update every week? No.
No. Oh, I can't.
Oh, God, no.
I can't. Oh, he's
still slimy, he's still creepy, and he's still gross.
Yeah. Yeah.
And Brody still loves him.
Oh, obsessed.
Yeah.
Obsessed.
We also had Bex Spiteri, Mel Ruffley, who sent a really nice message for Luna, and Donna Lesko, who said she's nearly caught up on all of our episodes, so she was a bit devo about that.
Oh, yes.
Now, another one that just touched me, you just showed me this Instagram reel, I don't know, 5 minutes before we started recording. I haven't seen it. It actually brought tears to my eyes, so thank you a million times over to aluka.hair. That's their Instagram handle, ELLUCA. They're based in Canberra, hairdressers based in Canberra. And a specific shout out to Chelsea and Stace, who put on their Instagram stories that, to listen to us. It's like, oh my God, like there are people who found us who are now recommending us. Yeah. Blows my mind.
It completely blows my mind. Absolutely blows my mind.
So thanks, girls, and thank you. We, as Meg said in the message back to you, if only we were in Canberra, we would be at your salon in no time.
Down there for a haircut and a chat about crime. Absolutely.
Always up for that. Always up for that. So thank you very much. We also have a new listener, Kirsty, who sent us a really lovely message through, I think it was on Instagram or somewhere, but she was really enjoying our content. So thanks for that, Kirsty. And then, we've had our first Patreons.
We've got
So our
Patreons.
very first ever Patreon is Jacinta. So
Yes,
thanks a
welcome,
million bucks.
Jacinta.
I feel like she must have listened to the episode and gone straight away and signed up, because she was right on top of it.
Real
So
quick.
thank you very much. And then we've also had Erin, Alyssa and Emma also join us over on Patreon. So in the next week or two, we'll get our first bonus episode up there. So if that's something that you might like to listen to, please go ahead to our Patreon. So it's patreon.com/2crimebesties. The link is in our bios and wherever you need it. So
yeah, I'll put some more stuff up on the socials this week too. Cool. Get it out there a bit more, and we'll build our little community over there. Come and join us. We're spilling the tea over there. We're also just honing in a few little music and things that we're going to add to the intros and things. We're just deciding on all those bits and pieces and finalising our first episode to put up in there. So that'll be up there very soon, and can start enjoying that.
Yes, so thanks to everybody who's joined. It's great. It's great to have. We're building like a new community over there, I guess.
Jump in that group chat and tell us what you want.
Yeah, please.
Yes.
Please.
That's exactly what we want.
All right. Oh, my God. Peter will probably almost be at work by the time this banter's over.
Oh, poor Peter.
Sorry, Pete. So let's get into today's case. This is an iconic Australian event.
Yeah.
So we're discussing today the Childers Palace Backpackers fire. And I obviously, I remember it. I remember it happening, but in looking into it, I'd forgotten so many of the details. Do you feel like that too?
I had forgotten details. I didn't know full details even. It was definitely all over the media when it happened.
Oh, yeah.
But
for months.
Yeah.
It went on for a long time.
It did. But I didn't remember beyond the actual fire occurring. So I think I didn't really understand the aftermath of it and what happened there, and in terms of any convictions and things like that.
Yep.
So and lack thereof potentially. So I didn't really understand all of that side of it at all. I really didn't have a grasp of that. So I was fascinated at the same time as I feel better as an Australian, I think, now understanding this case, because I just feel like I hadn't had its service put to me of what it actually is and what it means to people, because it's impacted so many people.
And I think that's something that we can fully get into as we go on is, we always talk in our episodes about the ripple effect of crime, and that is absolutely true. And generally it's immeasurable. You don't know the extent of that really.
Yeah.
I think in this case there's so many factors in that realm to consider, and that's something we can talk to when we get to it.
For sure.
But first of all, let's talk about Childers itself. It's 300 kilometres north of Brisbane in Queensland and about 40 kilometres from Bundaberg, which is probably the next closest town that people would know, because generally speaking, if you asked me a week ago where Childers was, I knew it was in Queensland.
Well, I actually didn't even know it was necessarily Queensland, because I was kind of like, I know it's somewhere between sort of the North New South Wales, South Queensland-ish, kind of on that. I knew that was the roundabouts where it is, because I have to admit, I do get confused sometimes with that area, whether it's not New South Wales or Queensland.
Yeah.
Because I don't know it well. I haven't spent much time in that area. So, I was kind of like, okay, Queensland, right, Queensland.
Yeah, we're in Queensland. We're in Queensland.
Yeah.
But, 40 Ks from Bundaberg. Bundaberg's known for rum. One of my dad's favourite drinks.
Yeah, same with my dad too.
Really?
I think they should get together and have a Bundy.
Have a Bundy
and Coke.
Oh, yuck. The smell of it makes me want to vom.
Oh, God.
True, no. Oh, anyway. But that's also known for, there's a lot of sugarcane grown up there. You can buy, Bundaberg branded sugar.
Yeah.
And ginger, and there's lots of crops and
so fruit
fruit that are grown up there.
Yeah.
And it is a beautiful place. It's absolutely stunning in terms of landscape, and it's really lush. The weather in Queensland is, fairly temperate and obviously lends itself well. The conditions lend itself well to being able to sustain all of these crops. The soil up there is rich and it's red and really fertile. So it's a place that attracts a lot of itinerant workers because, around fruit picking seasons, that's something that the farmers need a lot
They
of
need
help
a lot of help with, yeah.
And it lends itself really well to backpacker type work. And if you want a visa in Australia these days and you want to extend it a little bit longer, you can do so by doing a certain number of hours in working in rural Australia.
Yeah.
And
but it's also like a good spot in terms of location of like visiting Australia and getting a really great, feel of more sort of, I guess, outbackish kind of Australia, but you go a little bit further north and head to those great beaches and do the Gold Coasty touristy thing, or further again and head up and, head to this really to the top end there, and or you can head south and head towards Sydney and those sorts of bits. So it is a really big thoroughfare for tourists and backpackers, particularly for that reason. That it's a great stopping off point to pick up some money through the season for picking, and then keep moving on, whether it be north or south that you're heading. Yeah. So it's a really popular area for that.
It's not a big town, Shoulders, but it's, as you said, there's lots of people passing through all the time because it's actually on the Bruce Highway, which it's on the highway basically, or it is on the highway. Yeah, you can't get around it. There's no bypass.
No.
So to that end, there's lots of pubs and bakeries. I think someone in one of the podcasts I was listening to, someone said that it's home to one of the best bakeries in Queensland.
Right.
Great for a meat pie and a vanilla slice. Oh, God, I love a vanilla slice.
See, I'm not into the vanilla slice thing. Probably more the pie, my thing.
Slice.
Yeah. In Australia, like, you can't go to a country town without hitting their bakery. It's like rule, you must, and go and check out and rate them.
Or the pub.
Yes, or the pub.
Yeah. One or the other.
Check out the Parma.
Yeah.
The meat pie and the vanilla slice. Yeah. Then you know whether or not you've hit a good town.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Absolutely.
So in 1902, there was actually a fire that ripped through Childers and took out about 100 metres of the main street.
Yeah.
And it was absolutely devastating to the township at the time.
The Palace Hotel, which we're talking about, it had only just been built. Yes. It was pretty new at that point.
I think it had been built 3 years earlier.
Yeah, right.
I believe in 1897 or 1899 it was built. And, as you said, the fire ripped through the entire, basically what was the entire main street. And it took them many, many years to rebuild, but they did rebuild it. They completely rebuilt it. And because it was all then rebuilt at the same time, sort of in that early 1900s,
yes,
all of the buildings are in that have been built in that vein, so in that time. And so a lot of the buildings there were heritage listed, or at least their facades were heritage listed.
Yes.
And so it is that really beautiful old kind of town, and it still is to this day.
Yeah.
It's still, you drive in there, and I've never been. Have you ever been?
No, I haven't been through Childers, no.
But when I was looking at Google Maps, you can see, as you drive through, it's a beautiful, beautiful place.
Yeah.
And it's what you would expect a country town in
Australia,
or rural Australia to be.
Yeah.
Really, really lovely. So after it was rebuilt, it was then... They rebuilt it as a hotel. Over its lifespan, it was a hotel, it was a pub. They had a ballroom at one point. So,
really?
Yes,
Wow.
that was in the early 1900s after
their
it
local
had been rebuilt.
dancers in there.
Yeah.
Oh,
yep.
God, how gorgeous.
And in 1993, it was converted into a backpackers. And that was born out of necessity, really, because there was nowhere for these itinerant workers to really stay. A lot of the farms had sheds, essentially, that the backpackers would stay at when they were coming to fruit pick, but that wasn't an ideal situation. It certainly wasn't comfortable.
No.
And so the business idea came that they would turn the palace into a backpackers, and really great idea. I mean, it meant that, people who were coming in had somewhere a little bit nicer to stay, and that's sort of how that all came about.
Have you ever stayed in backpackers kind of like accommodation?
Only in Europe, never in Australia.
Yeah, right. Yeah. I've stayed in a fair few different ones. I've done definitely London, Australia, and some in Europe.
Yeah.
And I mean, they're great atmosphere to stay in. I loved staying in all of them. You get to know different people from all over the world. But it's always a really community atmosphere. You go in, I know the place I first stayed at was one in London. And I was very young and didn't really know. And I was like, how does this freaking work? But you literally, within 5 minutes being in sort of in a communal area, you chatting away with somebody and, they're offering you some of their 2-minute noodles, that kind of stuff. It's like everyone just sort of pitched in and did things, and there was, you always felt really comfortable. I mean, I would have thought, sharing a bedroom really basically with people that you don't know, you'd feel a bit unsafe, but not at all. Like everyone was, I don't know.
Like-minded.
Yeah.
And I mean, I guess there's safety in numbers if you're all kind of there for the same reasons.
Yeah.
And most people are good people. Like, and there's it's not like backpackers, the degenerates of society. You're probably young. Like demographically, I'm sure most backpackers are young, don't have a huge amount of money.
No.
And you're wanting to experience the world. You're eager, you're keen, you're enthusiastic. And if you've got all of those like-minded people in the same spot, the camaraderie is great.
Yeah, I mean, I've got a friend who, like, she met these people it's Canadian girls backpacking around Europe and things like that, and we're still all friends with them. Like it's just to this day, and like so they come out here a bit more than we get to go there even. But like it's amazing what the community feel of them is. I know, I think I can imagine Childers being very much that.
Yeah, I believe it was.
And that's, I mean, they could fit 101 people in that building for at this point in the year 2000, because they'd obviously built extra rooms in and everything.
Yeah,
so it was pretty sardine-ish, I think.
Absolutely. Because,
yes.
So I mean, this is kind of going a little bit ahead now, but at the inquest, it was actually found that the building was only licensed to carry 53.
Whoa, I didn't actually read that. Wow.
It had 101 people, a capacity of 101, and on the night of the fire, it had 88 people in there. So it was well and truly over capacity, but not even quite to the capacity of how many beds they had. So you can imagine if it had have been full, how much more devastating this could have been. So let's get into what actually happened on the night, do you think? And then we'll go back and we can talk a little bit more.
Yep. Sounds like the way to go.
Cool. So on the 23rd of June in 2000, it was just after midnight.
So then the 24th.
Oh, so early in the 24th. So the night, actually, the night of the 23rd.
Yes.
There were two. Well, actually, there's so many stories because I've
which way you want to come at?
So I'm going to talk about these two particular blokes.
Yep.
They'd been across the road at the pub, had a couple of drinks. They've gone back to the hostel, and they were in separate rooms at the time. They've both needed to go to the loo at the same time and met each other in the hallway, and they're like, you need to pee.
Do that before you go to bed.
Yep, go, let's do it. Just after midnight, they've gone to the toilet, and one of them has actually gone downstairs to go to the loo. And when he's come out of the toilet, he's seen a man who has since been identified. Actually, we'll get to that in a sec. But he sees this guy sitting at a computer.
Yeah.
And next to him, there is a rubbish bin, a waste paper bin on fire.
And it had like a cushion from a couch on top of that, which then bridged that to the couch.
That's
Does that
right.
make sense?
Yeah. So the pillow the cushion hadn't caught fire yet, but I mean, what the fuck are you doing? So this guy actually took the waste paper basket outside, extinguished the fire, left it out there, and was like, "What the fuck are you doing, mate? Like, fucking what the fuck?" But then he thought, "Oh well, I've put the fire out. It's all good." He's gone back to bed.
Yeah.
Not really thinking that much more of it. Unfortunately. I mean, this is in no way his fault.
No, there's so many bits of it. Yeah.
15 minutes later, what we know is there were three separate fires lit in that hostel, in that room.
Yeah.
So this is the ground floor of a 2-story building. As you said, there were 88 occupants at the time, and most of them were asleep. Because a lot of them were doing fruit picking, they would go to bed fairly early. They had to be up in the very, very early hours of the morning. So most of them would be in bed, but somewhere between 9:30 and 11 p.m. So this happened at about 12:30 in the morning. And in fact, I think almost everyone was asleep by that point.
Yeah.
So a lot of the accounts of the people who survived are that they started to hear noises.
There was like smashing of glass, things like that. That's probably what woke them.
Yeah.
Because you don't get woken up by the smell of smoke. That apparently will not wake you. But they were hearing loud crashes and
somebody thought it was like a bar fight. Someone else thought like maybe there was a car crash out the front. Like they didn't really know.
No,
they were quite disoriented.
Yes.
So whatever happens, a lot of them were woken up.
Yeah.
There were some people who then tried to turn on the light to try and see what was going on. Apparently, someone flicked on a light and then instantly the power went out in the building.
Yeah.
But it gave them a split second of...
Where am I?
Where am I? What's going on?
Yeah.
Now, as you said, you mentioned this earlier, the place was like a rabbit warren. So the original building, the original Palace Hotel was the middle building. It had then had extensions done since 1903 or 1904 when it was rebuilt.
Yeah.
And it had two other arms to the building. So, and little corridors joining the three buildings together essentially.
Yeah, we can put some pictures up of the layout, the floor plan.
Yeah. And there were rooms in the hostel, especially upstairs. There was a room it's known as room 7.
Yep.
This was a bunk room. It had
double and triple bunks in it all around. I think that room alone had a capacity of something like, I want to say like at least 15 people.
I think you're right. And I think there were maybe 10 in there at the time, or 11 actually, I think were in there at the time of the fire. The way they'd configured this room, they'd actually put a bunk bed against one of the doors. So there were 2 doors into this room. This room had actually previously been a lavatory.
Yeah.
But it was massive. It was a really big room. So the owners decided to make it into they had enough toilets, so they decided to make it into another dorm room. And in doing so, they blocked off one of the access points with a bunk bed.
And also had nailed it shut, I think, too. So it was, even if they'd pulled the bunk bed out, I don't believe they still would have potentially been able to get through that door.
That's right.
And they'd also, which I couldn't work this out from the floor plans I was seeing, there must have been I thought it was quite central, this room.
Yes,
but apparently there was windows as well. But this was the only room, for whatever reason, the windows had bars on them.
Yeah, so that was because when it was a hotel,
yes,
and it was only that building, so the annexes, the other 2 buildings hadn't been built yet, and there was apparently someone said there was some crime that was going on, and so the hoteliers at the time decided to put bars on the windows.
So people couldn't climb in through the windows at night and stuff like that.
Right.
So that's what they'd said.
Yeah.
So there were bars on windows. So the only way you could get out of that room was one door, which was right. So this room was actually directly above the room where the fire started. So this was basically like the heat from the fire was coming directly up to them first sort of thing. Yeah.
Now, again, this is an old building. All of the floors were made of wood. So it was all wooden beams and structures, and the fire was obviously lit with an accelerant of some description, because apparently the flames went from the floor of the bottom, like the ground floor, through the floor of or through the ceiling, I guess, into that room like a jet almost. It was so ferocious.
There was one of the survivors commented that when she was exiting and trying to get out, that was one thing that's really stuck with her, was how hot the floor was. So it wasn't you think about you're meant to stay low in a fire. So they were trying to get low, but it was so hot on the floor that they felt like they couldn't touch it. So it was almost like, this full floor is lava kind of feeling as they were trying to exit this building and get out.
I believe from room 7, only one person successfully escaped.
Yes.
And lived to tell the tale. The other thing is that because it was such a rabbit warren, when the power went out, it was it was so dark in there that you couldn't even see your hand in front of your face. So not only dark because it was the middle of the night, but also the thick black smoke from everything that was burning, all of the fuel that was burning. Apparently the smoke was acrid. It was disgusting. They couldn't breathe.
There were light up exit signs that should have then helped, but the batteries in those had not been changed for 7 years. So they failed as well in that moment when they should have clicked in as backup to the central power. They didn't turn on, so they also weren't illuminating to give anyone direction. So when they were coming out of their rooms to try and find where to go from there, it was pitch black, trying to find which direction, and quite disorientating of which way they were going to go to get out.
And for some of the people who died, it was a a 50-50. Do I go left here or do I go right? And the people who went left were able to get out of a window and onto a roof of the building next door and escape that way.
Yep.
The people who went right ended up in a dead end.
There was literally one survivor's account. She said that she was going in one direction to get out, and randomly this person ran up behind her, grabbed her by the arm and dragged her in the opposite direction. And that was what made her, she would have kept going in the wrong direction and would have been totally dead. Absolutely. No question. To this day, she does not know who that was that grabbed her arm and pulled her out.
Oh, wow.
But that person saved her life, no question.
Oh, my gosh.
Another one was a guy of the name of Brett. He had walked into the room. There was two other guys. He didn't know these guys for a bar soap. They were asleep, dead to the world asleep in their room. He was in the same room as them. He actually punched them both in the stomach to wake them up, like, do what you got to do, like kind of stuff. So he punched them both in the stomach to wake them up, and he screamed at them, "We've got to get out, get down low, grab my legs." And so he crawled in front. Obviously, that's how what you're supposed to do. The other two blokes, one on either side of him, holding onto his legs as they all then crawled out, basically conga lining it, sort of stuff. And the three of them managed to find their way out and get out. But these guys would have just perished because they hadn't even woken yet. And if they literally had minutes, seconds to do this.
Seconds.
Yeah. I mean, so Brett saved both of their lives by crawling them both out. Like,
some of the deceased did die while they were asleep, so from smoke inhalation. We'll get to that a little bit later. So this was a very cold and foggy night, very, very foggy. And the first that any of the authorities knew about it was that just after midnight or
12:31, they got it. There was the first emergency call.
Was made from the phone box, which was on the other side of the road to the backpackers. And the local chief fire officer had his pager, gets the page, and he's like, "Oh, yep, all right." So he just thought it was probably a building fire or a little grass. He didn't know really. So he gets in his car, goes down to the station, and starts getting everything ready. And other officers have sort of come to attend. They had a brand new fire truck. It was less than 5 days old.
Yep.
And they've packed that all up, and the chief fire officer said he drove past the backpackers to get to the fire station.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
He didn't know because it was so foggy, he couldn't even see that's what was on fire.
Wow, right.
That just goes to show how foggy it was.
Wow. Well,
they knew there was something going on in the area.
But hadn't got to the point of knowing where that was yet. No. To their credit, though, they arrived on scene at 12:38.
Yeah.
So, I mean, 7 minutes for them to get to the station, get their shit together and get to that fire.
This is what they trained for.
That's
they were
amazing.
They were incredible.
Yeah.
When they pulled the fire engine up, so they parked out front of the backpackers.
Yeah.
And apparently this just goes to the ferocity of this fire.
Yeah.
It was so hot that all of the plastic now they were parked out the front in this spot for somewhere between 30 and 90 seconds.
Yeah, because what they do, and this is typical of what a fire truck would do at any service, where they pull up, get all their stuff off what they need and attach what they need to attach, those sorts of things, and then they move the truck away to give them access to to getting in and out. But they need the stuff off the truck first. So rather than try to lug the stuff from where they've got to park the truck kind of thing, they pull the truck in as close as they can, get what they need off, then move the truck.
Yep.
That's just protocol.
Yep.
They reckon potentially only 30 seconds. Like 90 seconds would be worst case scenario. Yeah, they can do it bloody fast.
Yeah, it was so hot it's melted all of the plastic light covers of the front of the truck. It has melted the vinyl seats of the truck. Mm-hmm. There was an old Nokia brick phone in there, and it was so hot that it basically exploded. It was so extremely hot.
Heat, and that's the outside of it, let alone being in that building and that heat that they're experiencing.
The only thing that makes me think is I hope then that those who died very, very quickly.
Well, from what I can gather, all bar one, I believe, died of carbon monoxide poisoning and smoke inhalation. That's not fun.
No. Mm-mm. Although I do think you pass out pretty quickly.
Yeah, right.
Anyway, we'll get to that because I've got the coroner's report that kind of goes through all that.
Yeah.
Right. So, it's really where are we at now?
Well, it took them 4 hours to actually get the fire under control, which to me even seems pretty damn good. But it was a very intense fire, as we were saying. So, yeah, 4 hours of them working their absolute asses off to get this fire under control.
Yeah.
They eventually get that fire out. And so there's, at this point now, we have 73 survivors, but trying to try and work out who everyone was, who they're still looking for, etc.
How many
was
people
an
were actually
absolute
in there?
nightmare because one, all their passports were inside the fire and therefore don't exist anymore. So they can't even work out who they're looking for, because what the backpackers did was they had a very good system for checking people in, but they didn't have a great system for departures. So they actually didn't have much of a record of like, oh, well, we don't know if that guy's actually still here or not. So we don't know if we're looking for him. And
because people would often not book in for a time. Like they would
Yeah.
come, not really know when they were going.
No.
Sort of be on a week-to-week basis most of the time.
Or even day-to-day sometimes. Be literally like go to the front. I mean, I've done it myself. Like, oh, we've changed the plans. We're going to go tomorrow. So you'd go down the desk and you'd say, you know, like, yeah, we're going to depart tomorrow. I'm like, okay, cool.
Yep.
You know, pass your keys in when you do it.
Yep.
But obviously they weren't keeping a record of that so much, you know. So, yeah, they really didn't know how many were missing. But not only that, obviously without the passports, et cetera, to kind of check off things. And these people weren't locals. You know, there was, you know, even local to Australia, their family, et cetera, were overseas. So even trying to identify people through DNA, say, to check that, they didn't have DNA samples of family members close by to achieve that. So that was an absolute nightmare to work out. But eventuated was that they discovered it was 15 people had perished in the fire. And then, yeah, and 73 of the 88 had escaped. Now, there's left 73 people in the town of Childers who they were passers through. They had zero, all their possessions on them were in those rooms. They had nothing. The town of Childers absolutely rallied. And it's really fascinating listening to the locals, who are now elderly people themselves, talk about these young people who were, you know, in need and how they looked after them, and that you hear them sort of talk about them as like their children.
Yeah.
It's so beautiful.
They really embraced them.
They 100% did. They invited them into their homes. There was a centre set up at the ISIS community centre, I want to say.
So ISIS was the name of the ISIS Shire Council at the time.
Yeah.
And they were actually in the midst of building this community centre. So it wasn't even finished yet. It was still under construction.
Yeah, they opened it specifically for them to go have somewhere to go, to be able to stay. But they also, all the locals though were like, come and have a meal with us, come and have a shower. Like they offered them whatever they needed.
Any spare clothes they had.
That's it. Because they had no clothes,
Nothing.
but they also had no money or anything. So the farmers, who these people had all been working their butts off for, was so beautiful that they paid them straight up 2 weeks' wages. Whether they came to work or not, like kind of thing for the next 2 weeks, that was not what it was about. It was about giving them some money to be able to go buy themselves some clothes, you know, food, things like that they needed, you know, to get by, or just getting their passport fixed up so they could get home to their families after this horrific tragedy. But these survivors were traumatized entirely.
Oh my God.
The stories that they talk about of like particularly those first few nights after the fire are really harrowing, in terms of like, there was one guy I heard a story of how the first night particularly he was put at this community centre to be able to sleep, which very grateful for, but he just could not sleep inside, and he ended up pulled out all his stuff and dragged it out onto the street and slept out there, because the claustrophobia of being inside a building and the fear of something happening again meant that he slept outside on a mat.
One of the local hotels had some vacancies that night and also offered up any spare rooms. But again, the stories are that most of those people then slept with their hotel doors open. Because they couldn't, the thought of being trapped inside a room I'm sure there was no sleep that night for many of them.
No, and I'm sure that even to this day, those people carry that trauma with them of like, I've never been in a fire to feel fear of fire, like kind of thing. I don't think like that in going into any building. I don't sort of think, you know, how would I get out of here if there was a fire?
Yeah, that's it.
But I'm sure that they have, when they go anywhere these days, have that's probably one of their first thoughts of like, you know, so how do I exit here? What's the strategy? Yeah. You know, that level of trauma is really debilitating. And
I can't even imagine it.
No.
I can't even imagine it. Thank God.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank God we can't.
Yes.
You know, it's just horrific.
Yeah.
So I guess at this point, the police are like looking at this, and the fireys have been able to establish the fact that there were 3 incineration points.
Very quickly they worked out.
Very, 3 trigger points, which equals arson. Like that's a given.
Yeah.
So these people were murdered and they had to find out who'd done this. And pretty quickly they were able to, I guess, have a person who they really felt was probably more than likely responsible for this. And they identified Robert Paul Long as that person.
Yeah, and a number of things that sort of triggered them to this being that, one, he was known to them, to the police, but also he was a very odd man.
Very strange. Creepy as
when we were
fuck.
talking earlier about the demographic of someone who stays in these hostels, and like, yeah, absolutely, there were Australians staying in that hostel. Just the fact that he was Australian didn't make him stand out. But how much older he was. So he was 37, I believe, whereas the average age of a person that uses the hostel is something like 22.
Early 20s, yeah.
So he did stand out in that sense. But also he had, in the days building up to this, he had threatened to burn down the hostel. He had been staying at the hostel for, I think it was, let me find it.
He checked in March of that year.
Sorry, he did check in March.
Yeah.
And he also was then asked to leave shortly, not too much longer after that. I believe it was the week before the fire.
Yep.
He was evicted because he owed about $200 in lodgings. So he wasn't up to date with that. So they'd kicked him out. Fair enough. And because of that, he then started these threats. So around town, he was known to be around town still, and was. He also actually, I think it was the day it was the day before the fires. He had put a note at the local tavern saying that he was going to commit suicide. He'd also put a similar note at the backpackers, and literally the local cop been given these notes as like sort of, this is weird, like just think we'd better give this to you guys so you're aware, and had looked at these notes and seen them and kind of gone, oh, okay, something I need to look into. Like,
but also it wasn't the first time he'd done that.
No.
He'd threatened suicide before.
Yeah.
He'd also, God, he's a weird fucking unit. He'd told people that his children had cancer. Doesn't have any kids.
He told people he had cancer.
Oh, yeah.
Didn't have cancer.
Doesn't have cancer.
Yeah.
He racially threatened, like he taunted people based on their race at the backpackers, which made people feel really, really uncomfortable.
Yep.
He threatened to kill one of the backpackers because they weren't Australian. What the actual fuck?
Yeah.
He also was really, really creepy towards some of the female backpackers. So he'd go and follow them to the pub and sit there and stare at them and just make them feel really uncomfortable.
Yeah.
What a fucking piece of shit.
Oh, he's gross. So
He's so fucking gross.
on the night of the fires too, so obviously we were saying earlier that there was a man identified sitting in that common room, and that he had the fire sitting next to him. But prior to that, it was later worked out that he was actually outside the building, chatting with a couple of other actual tenants from the hostel, and he had said to them, later tonight when you go in, just leave the back door open for me so I can get in, because I need to get in and beat the shit out of my old roommate in there, this Indian bloke. What? Thankfully, these guys did decline. They did say to him, no, we're not leaving the door open. Like, that's not safe for people. No, you're not getting access. And they didn't leave the door open. But in saying that to him, they said they weren't going to do it. His return to them was, oh, it doesn't matter, I've got a key anyway.
So, yeah, when he'd been kicked out, he took his key with him, fucking piece of shit.
Which I do a little bit kind of go, okay, so there's point one.
Yep.
Why didn't they then go inside and go, you know what, we need to tell someone that this guy's got a key and that he wants to beat the shit out of someone in here? That bugs me a bit. And then again, that little bit of a bug of like, why don't you do more about that fire that was, to walk into that, wouldn't you be like, that's not right. I think we need to get this guy out of here.
For sure. You would think, like, to me, I'd be like, maybe we need to call the police. Like, this is not okay. He's just lit a fire inside. Obviously, he wanted something to happen because he had fuel there, as in he had the cushions there that he was then obviously trying to catch fire to let this go.
Yeah.
To me, yes, that should have happened. But then it was also 12:30 in the morning and these blokes were inebriated. They'd been at the pub all night. that's not to say that, look, none of this is their fault.
No.
I get what you're saying. There were so many points along the way where shit could have happened differently that might have been. I just think
like if the cops had been called when there's this strange guy hanging out the front who's saying he wants to get in and he's got a key.
Yeah.
Don't know if there's anything in it, and the cops go, okay, all right, well, thanks for letting us know. Hang up. If they then got a second phone call saying, hey, there's a guy here who's just lit a fire and done this, they'd kind of go, let's go hang out and check out what's going on down there tonight. There's something, So unfortunately, I think there was one point of entry where this could have potentially been avoided.
Yeah,
but there's lots of things wrong here.
so many things. So after the fire, obviously the police are looking for this guy because all signs are pointing to him. They had a lot of these eyewitness accounts by this stage. So a few days later, they're looking for him and they find him. So they'd put out a lot of comms out to local police, and everyone was kind of looking for him. They also brought police in from Brisbane. So they brought them up from Brisbane and they were like special tactical type police who were, this was sort of their bread and butter. This is what they did. And what they did was they found him in bushland in Howard, which was about 32 k's from Childers. And he was just hanging out there. Apparently he'd spent a couple of nights in a shed on one of these properties. And anyway, he was found by these police officers. So there were 2 police officers and a police dog. And when they came upon him, he had a knife and he was acting completely irrationally, and he ended up stabbing one of the police officers in the jaw so hard that the knife actually snapped off in his jaw. Left a piece in his jaw. He also stabbed the poor dog in the paw as well. But he's okay. He is okay. He survived. But that's fuck. So the other police officer drew his weapon and shot 3 shots, one of which hit Long in the shoulder, right? So he's drama queen. He is thinking that he's going to die from a gunshot to the shoulder.
No, apparently. So his claim at that point, this is what he says, is that he said him saying, I'm going to die anyway, is actually because he had cancer that he didn't have.
Yeah, okay.
So he's actually... in
his mind, he's like, no, I'm dying of cancer anyway, even though he doesn't have cancer.
Yeah.
I thought it was because he got shot and he's like, oh my God, I've got shot in the shoulder, I'm going to die.
I know, which actually makes more sense, to be honest, than I'm going to die from my fake cancer.
Oh, what the fuck. Yeah. Anyway, so he's confessed and he's like, I lit those fires. But the police officers didn't actually have any paper on them. They had a pen, no paper, but one of them had a $10 note. And
because these were off-duty cops.
No, they were on a break.
That's right.
So they had been searching for him all morning. It was time for them to take a lunch break. And then farmer saw him in the field or whatever in the bushland. And so they didn't have their stuff with them because they were at the cafe or whatever. They were getting lunch. And so that's why they had none of their gear with them. Thankfully, they were still armed.
Yes.
And... but they didn't have all their other stuff.
Yeah.
And so he had a $10 note in his pocket and he wrote out the confession on this $10 note, which was then tendered in evidence at the trial.
Yeah.
But
cost that bloke $10.
Yeah, I hope he was reimbursed. Sure, you'd put that on your little expense docket, wouldn't you? Need my $10.
Yeah.
Well, you can get a couple of coffees for that. Back in 2000, you could probably get 3.
3 at least.
So, so that's a little interesting tidbit of the story there.
Yeah.
But he was obviously arrested, taken to hospital to have that dealt with. And apparently he also then, while he was in hospital, made a confession to a nurse who was looking after him. And so, again, did he make that confession because he thought he was dying of cancer? Oh, my God, what a fucking weirdo.
He's a real weird bloke. He had a girlfriend at one stage. I believe maybe he had. I don't think he was the father of the child, but
I don't think he had any biological.
No,
children.
I don't believe he was the father of his child. But he threatened to set them both alight. He was a real not great guy at all. Real nut job.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And obviously, hadn't been dealt with in any way. It's not like he had any treatment for whatever was going on for him.
Not at all. No.
So I guess we're getting to the point now of Actually, I did just want to add one little bit in here. So this was all happening in the lead up to the Sydney Olympics. And so this was during the time that the Sydney Olympic torch relay was going around the country. Do you remember did you see the Olympic torch? Yes.
Yeah.
So I remember it came past my house.
Oh, yeah, right.
So we had like family and friends over and we made a day of it.
Yeah,
and the
yeah.
torch actually came past our house. It was a big deal.
Yeah.
I remember it very vividly. And anyway, so Princess Anne was actually out here for that reason.
Yes.
Because she was here to, I don't know, cause.
She was, out here for the relay.
The relay.
Yeah.
And so she actually she was in Queensland at the time. She diverted her itinerary
Yep.
to go to Childers in the aftermath of this and thank the first responders and to everybody and to have a chat with the survivors who were still in town at the time. I think she arrived maybe 5 days after the fire.
Yeah.
And it was such a big deal. And, you know, for something like that to happen to a town like Childers was such a massive thing. And it really, I mean, they had a really beautiful sense of community as it was, but having a royal visit just really it really helped the town start to get the ball moving in terms of how they were going to rebuild and how they were going to sort this out, because this had such a negative impact on the town, not only for the fact of the fire and the loss of life and, you know, all of the trauma that came upon the town because of that, but it certainly stilted tourism. It certainly meant that there weren't people, you know, jumping at the chance to go and stay at a backpackers or do fruit picking in that area.
And they need those workers. Absolutely.
Yeah, that's it. So tourism to the area, tourism to Australia as a whole took a really big hit because of this. And I think it's, you know, in situations like this, the actions of one man, one deranged lunatic of a bloke, really the far-reaching consequences of this. People didn't want to come to Australia and stay in a backpackers for the actions of one lone fuckwit.
Yeah. Although, I mean, it highlighted another issue.
Yep.
It being the fact that, and there were regulations in place in 2000 for sure in terms of fire prevention and alarms and things like that in buildings, especially those where people were, you know, staying at volume like that in a hotel, etc. However, it highlighted that there were glitches in their system in checking these things and making sure that they were in working order at all times, and that to not be complacent and sort of go, oh, that had never happened to us. Because that's pretty much what happened here. There were checks done on this building, but wasn't follow through on ensuring that, for example, the exit lights that didn't light up, those batteries should have been replaced on a regular basis. There had been people out checking the building who had said they need to be replaced, but then no follow up on that being done. So there was an alarm system, a fire alarm system in the building. However, it had been malfunctioning. They'd had multiple electricians out to work on it, and they'd fix something, play around with something, and then the next thing it would malfunction again.
So by malfunction, what actually happened was it would go off.
Yeah, it would the whole alarm would go off. Yeah,
false, you know, alarms going off, and so it got to the point where the owners of the establishment at the time were like, well, fuck it, turn it off.
Just turn it off.
Because we can't get this working. They needed to send 2 parts off to some specialist place to have it reviewed.
Although they had also had a quote done to replace the entire system, which would have cost them $12,000.
Yeah.
And they had actually, I think, signed off on that occurring, but we're not rushing on getting it done.
Okay, I didn't know that.
Yeah, I believe that was the case.
Okay.
There was definitely a quote of $12,000 to entirely redo the system.
Okay. I knew there was a quote for $12,000. I didn't realise they'd actually taken it
I believe
on
so.
to actually get it done. Okay. But it hadn't been done, obviously,
It hadn't
at the
been
time
done.
of the fire.
No.
Oh, wow.
So there were a number of issues then that highlighted that since then there's been inquiries and things around this.
Yeah.
That has definitely made huge impacts on the implications for these things and people getting fined or whatever, and for not having these things in place. So now that smoke alarms have to be in every room and all these sorts of things. So
and have to have battery backup. The batteries need to be replaced on a regular schedule. They need to be checked by a certified fire authority.
Yeah. There's now like, on top of that, it's if you get an inspection and found to be not meeting these requirements, there's actually consequences that are followed through on, whereas that's part of this was that they weren't followed through on afterwards when they were found to be not right.
The other thing that was found was the occupancy level.
Yes,
even though 53 people was the recommended amount, and obviously there were 88 people staying there. But again, that wasn't closely monitored by anyone.
No.
And they'd been doing it for the century that it had been opened. They'd been over
capacity.
Capacity.
That's not even a little bit over capacity. I mean, that's unbelievable.
It's double.
But it's by them putting in those bunk, situations and putting in the triple bunks and things and going, well, instead of one person sleeping here, we get 3 in. It seems insane. But I mean, look, in a town like that, there was clearly need for that many people, to like be working in these farms, etc. But they just needed to find a bigger space or have another backpackers in the area. I don't know.
Yeah. So after it burnt down, a memorial was erected in its space, and another backpackers was actually built behind it. So there is a new Childers Backpackers Hostel that's built on a vacant lot behind there. So there was space that they could have potentially gone into.
But I mean, that costs money, doesn't it? Like everything.
That's right.
Yeah,
that's exactly right. So I guess we'll get to the charges.
Yeah, this is interesting.
Long was charged now with only 2 murders and arson. And it went to trial based on this. Now, there's a lot of nuance to this, and I think I can totally understand from the family's perspectives that this is not fair and not just, but I also do understand why the prosecutor went down this path. So they decided to only pursue a murder charge for the twins, the Australian twins named, I believe it was Stacey and Kelly.
Slack,
thank you. Sorry, I do have their names written down. The reason being, they were able to obtain DNA because these girls were from Western Australia, I think, and they were able to get DNA and prove that the bodies belonged to them. They also decided to withhold charges for the other murders because if they went for all of them in one go and he was found not guilty, because we have the double jeopardy laws in Australia, they wouldn't have then been able to try again.
Exactly.
So
that side of it kind of makes a lot of sense to me.
Same.
It was like a backup system.
It's a backup system. So they had obviously another 13 people they could potentially pursue for a murder charge if the first wasn't successful.
Yes.
It was successful. He was sentenced to 20 years in prison for the murders of those 2 girls.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, he was also, fortunately in one way, I guess, he was also given the highest ever arson sentence of 15 years at the time. It was the highest that had ever been given out in an Australian court for arson, 15 years. But because of the way our system works, he was to serve that concurrently with his murder conviction, which I think is so fucking fucked.
Well, the way they sort of clarify this as to why that's the case is that the court actually treated the act of the arson as causing the death, not that he was attempting to murder 88 people. Like,
bullshit.
And I don't agree with this. I'm not saying it, but like that's how it got. It was basically, it wasn't intentional murder. It was arson that happened to just inadvertently cause death. So these were the words from the judge. Death was such an inevitability in the circumstances that to light those fires displays callousness, cruelty that is hard to imagine. In other words, even without premeditated intent, the predictable and horrific consequences made the act extraordinarily heinous.
Yeah.
So so they were his words. However, he has sentenced based on that act of arson not being intentional murder.
Oh, I just think it's so fucked up. But
absolutely. So how could you have not assumed in lighting that fire that it wasn't going to cause death?
Why is there no attempted murder on the other 70, however many?
Exactly.
How many people?
The other side
that's attempted murder.
Totally. And I get it from one perspective of a legal system that one of the other reasons why they only went for the 2 murders was to expedite this in terms, I can understand that it could become a very long trial, very drawn out, very confusing when you start adding more and more people to like trying to get convictions on. I get that.
I'm not saying I don't like the way they went about it.
No.
I understand why they did that.
But then the sentencing needs to take it into account.
Because, okay, if you think so, he was essentially sentenced to 20 years in prison, right? For the murder of 15 people and the attempted murder. Well, he wasn't even charged with attempted murder.
No.
Then that's like, what, 1.2 years per person that he killed?
Is it.
Like, that's so woefully inadequate.
Yes.
It's disgusting.
Well, because what I don't understand then is, okay, he was convicted of this and yay, that's great. Like he was convicted of it. Sentence not really equaling the crime.
Nowhere near.
Okay, so let's say, why wasn't he then convicted of those and we've got him for 20 years minimum? Why was he not then further charged with attempted murder and other murders? I don't understand why we haven't piled on. Like we're talking at the moment about the mushroom, lady and Erin Patterson and the fact that there's potentially other charges that might come. Why has this guy not been further charged?
So I did see some commentary about this.
Right.
I don't know. It didn't come from the prosecution. So I don't know whether this was opinion or not. I assume it was opinion based on these facts. But I think it had something to do with the fact that it wasn't in the public interest to spend the money to do that. But I don't think that's true. I mean, think about the families. Think about the victims' families who didn't get the justice for their family member.
And how guilty would the twins' family feel that they're the only ones who maybe did get justice? Do you know what I mean? Like I would feel either way. I feel like there's no win there.
Dad, Did you see? I think it was on a 60 Minutes. Maybe they did a 20-year sort of special on this. Did you see their dad?
I didn't watch all of it.
I was in tears watching it. Oh my God, he got me.
Oh, I've read quotes from him, but I haven't seen.
He's a beautiful man, and the fact that he's had to live his life. Any of these families have had to live their lives without their loved ones.
The twins were their youngest children, and like the absolute world, and they've lost both their children, like both their daughters.
They were 22 at the time. The world was their oyster.
Absolutely,
they were exploring Australia together, and I actually can't even imagine it.
No.
So in July of 2006, an inquest was held in relation to this. And evidence was given that day and for the next 2 days. There were 20 witnesses and 440 exhibits tendered. So it was interesting what they found. They basically found that the room 7, which is the room where 10 people died in room 7.
Yep.
That the fact that there were security bars on the windows and the fact that, you're right, the door had been nailed shut. There was only one exit point that was really difficult to find because of the layout of the room.
And because they were talking about the fact that when they did get out, there was like on the wall, like an evacuation plan. They couldn't even read it and see it. Like they couldn't see it because it wasn't lit up how it was supposed to be because all these backup battery ones didn't light up. Yeah. So, it was so many things wrong.
Yeah. Sometime between the 15th and 26th of May in 2000, so like a month before basically the fire, the alarm system was turned off due to being faulty. It remained off obviously on the day of the fire. What you were alluding to before with the inspection, so they had a fire inspection company who would come and do all of the checks. They'd noted on several previous visits things that hadn't been kept up to code, but had never then followed that through. They hadn't even notified the authorities about it, where that was really their responsibility. So there's so much that has gone into this, and I think we find this in a lot of these cases where so many things add up to a catastrophic event. You know, if there had have been working smoke alarms, if there had have been illuminated exit signs, if there had have been, the occupancy of the place had have been actually at, kept to the limit that it was at. So many things could have either reduced the number of casualties or possibly even prevented the catastrophic nature of what ended up happening.
Yeah.
So in the investigation so this was part of the inquest, they looked into how they investigated Robert Long, and the investigators said that they knew he was in the area after the fire because he'd used his FPOS card.
Yeah, it was the ATMs,
there were witnesses who'd seen him in the coffee shop across the road the next morning, like just watching what was going on. Isn't that creepy as fuck?
There was also the guy that witnessed him downstairs with the fire. He actually also smelt the petrol smell. So putting him in that room with the accelerant also, went towards that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, there's so much here.
Also awful.
You've already spoken about him wanting the door left open, saying that he's got the key anyway. And it's just there's just so much to this inquest. But I just wanted to talk about the fire investigation report.
Yep.
From sauce to dust to nuggets, it's Taco Bell's new Diablo Dusted Crispy Chicken Nuggets. Are they mild? If they were mild, they'd have to change the name to Little Rascal Nuggets or Minor Nuisance Nuggets. Definitely Diablo. New Diablo Dusted Crispy Chicken Nuggets. A brand new classic. Only at Taco Bell. At participating U.S. Taco Bell locations for a limited time and while supplies last.
So the report identified the following factors. I'm reading this verbatim from the report. That may have continued. The smoke alarm system being disabled, the electrical connection that was tested was found to have been corroded by water.
Yes.
And that was never replaced by the electricians. The illuminated exit signs didn't function. But as you mentioned, the backup batteries hadn't been changed since 1993.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, 7 years earlier.
Security bus. Like it blows, all this shit blows my mind.
Yeah. The managers so there was the owner of Childers and there was two managers and they lived on site, right? So they lived actually not far from room 7, which was the worst cop. They both survived and got out.
Yeah.
Now
they knew the place like the back of their hand.
Absolutely.
Didn't they?
In the inquest, they were asked to give evidence and they refused to give evidence due to the fact that they would incriminate themselves.
Yeah. And that was their right.
That was their right, but I don't feel like it should be their right.
But you know what the coroner found, though, at the inquest? Hold on, let me get that bit up. In my view, while it would have been far preferable had the operators had in place an adequate fire warning system and had removed the obstructions from the escape routes, I do not consider a jury could reasonably find that the conduct of the operators was so derelict as to amount to criminal negligence. So that was the state coroner, Michael Barnes, said that in his report that was released on the 7th of July in 2006.
I just can't come at that, actually.
Nor can I.
I just find that they were negligent. I really do think they were.
Oh, I mean, so
look,
too.
At the end of the day, this is on Robert Long. Not.
But we're talking about potential reduction in loss of life or reduction in damage to the building.
Yeah. I mean, more people could have got out. More people could have been they could have been notified earlier and therefore being able to get out. So I really feel like this was double layered.
Yeah.
In that sense. 100%. Robert Long needs to rot in jail, no question. Yeah. He is the main culprit here, but there is definitely other people who need to be held accountable for this. And I go as far as the electricians.
Yeah.
Like, I do think that they should be held accountable even. They should have been more on top of this of like what needed to be done to fix that system. I mean, so there was a class action suit put together by, there was about 60 survivors after the inquest was done in the December of that year once it had been presented. They took out a civil claim. And again, so it wasn't criminal negligence that they were going for there, more compensation was all they could go for because the coroner had stated that they weren't negligent, which I don't agree with. But there was a decision on that, but it was done privately.
Yeah,
so we don't know what the outcome of it was. But obviously enough that those 60 survivors did decide to go ahead and take what they were offering. But I mean, I dare say it wasn't to the extent it should have been.
Nothing would compensate you for what they had to go through.
There are other civil claims as well for those who were victims, for the families of those that were killed in the fire. They're separate again with that. But they're basically the class action suit though it was targeted at the owners, the managers of shelters, but also the council.
Yeah.
And also then there were the electricians, etc., were included in that. They were all in on. They were all put into that category. Yeah. So I agree with them moving forward on a civil case for sure.
Oh, for sure.
But there should have been a criminal one as well, I believe.
I fully agree.
Yeah.
The cause of death as outlined in the inquest was that all deceased died of smoke inhalation due to fire.
Yeah.
Smoke inhalation occurs when you breathe in the products of combustion during a fire. Carbon monoxide is a chemical produced as a result of combustion. Carbon monoxide poisoning is the usual mechanism of death in fatal smoke inhalation in a house or structural fire. Carbon monoxide combines with hemoglobin, resulting in carboxyhemoglobin. Most victims succumb to the asphyxia effect of carbon monoxide long before the flames and heat affect the body. Thank fuck.
Yeah.
Blood taken at autopsy is analysed for carbon monoxide content, and the result expressed as a percentage of the hemoglobin, which is saturated with carbon monoxide. The lethal concentration of carboxyhemoglobin saturation is generally considered to be greater than 50%, and all of the victims had a carboxyhemoglobin, aside from all but one, had a carboxyhemoglobin level of over 50%.
They ranked between like 61% and 85%. Yeah. It was insane.
Someone noted, so one of the survivors noted that they took one breath when they went. So they opened their door, they went into the corridor, they took one breath, and he said he knew if he took another breath, he'd be dead. He had to hold his breath until he got outside.
That's insane.
Yep.
Oh, that's awful. God.
Unbelievable.
Yep. Yeah.
Absolutely unbelievable.
So, yeah, there was one that I believe, and the thing is we don't know for sure. I think I may misunderstand this, but I believe we don't know his level of carbon monoxide poisoning due to the fact of how his remains were found. He was the hardest to identify.
Was he the one found under the window?
He was downstairs. Oh. He was the guy from Morocco.
Oh, yes. Okay.
Yeah, so I believe we don't know what his smoke inhalation levels were because his body was his body was in the flames. Mm-hmm. So what that did to his body to be able to get any reading, I guess, maybe. Yeah. I think that's the only reason we don't know which way he went. Yeah. Yeah. Awful.
So
should we maybe at this point name all the victims?
Yeah, I think so. So we've got twins Stacey Louise and Kelly June Slark, aged 22, from Australia.
Sebastian Westerveld, 22, from the Netherlands.
We had Sarah Ann Williams, 23, from England.
And also from England, Michael Ernest Lewis, who was 25. As well as from England, we've also got Claire Louise Webb, 24, and Natalie Morris, who was 18. More from England.
Yeah,
Gary John Sutton, who was 24. Melissa Jane Smith, who was 26.
And Adam John Rowland was also from England.
Oh, he was too, sorry, further down my list.
We then had Jolly van der Velden, 23, from the Netherlands. Atsuki Toyona, 31, from Japan.
Julie O'Keefe, who was 24, from Ireland.
Hui Kyung Lee from Korea. 23, age 23.
And the last victim was Moulay Lahine Lalawi Kamal. He was 48 and he was from Morocco, and he was the one that was, he was really hard to identify. Yeah, really, really tragic. The fact that, these people from all over the world have been impacted from this. It's hard to get some information about these victims because culturally they want it to be very private and all those sorts of things. So there's different perspectives from, where they come from as well. So many layers to all of that.
Yeah.
But these families they were not here with them. They were so far away when all this happened. So it's just absolutely tragic to know that these young people and, that were all doing what they wanted to do and experiencing life and getting out in the world, doing something that was fun and also adventurous, all those great things that, people should do at this point in their life. There's so many varying reasons as to why they were doing what they were doing.
Yeah.
And to have this be what ended their life is just absolutely so tragic.
There were some countries who sent consular officials to help their to help their nationals. And so, for example, Japan, they really embraced their people who were there. But then there were other victims who didn't necessarily have that same support, had to wait for family to arrive. They had to reapply for passports. They couldn't even get out of the country. They couldn't go home quickly. It was just horrific.
Yeah.
So, even just in that very immediate aftermath, there was so much going on. It's in the years that followed that a lot of them started to process their trauma and what happened to them, how they escaped. There was a lot of survivor guilt. I've listened to a podcast. It's actually fantastic if you want a long-form podcast on this. It's called Childers, the Full Story.
Yep.
And it was... anyway, it's definitely worth a listen. And
he was a journalist who was on this. It was actually one of his very early days of reporting.
Fifth day of his fifth week as a journo.
Yeah. He got into this and was and at the time reporting on it and reflected back later going, actually, you know what, there's more about this Childers story I need to tell, and that's why he's done this podcast, which is fascinating.
It's really good.
Yeah, I love too though. We think Carl Stefanovic, this was his first gig too. For the Today, was it for the Today Show?
It was his first Channel 9
gig.
Yeah.
So
he was literally a week.
Very young faced Carl Stefanovic there. So a lot of young journalists ran this, with this story, but he was more, the guy that did the podcast, he was much more of a local from sort of that area. And he said typically he would do a couple of stories a day, or 5, I think he talked about, even potentially would go and travel around and sort of pick up these little stories. And he said he'd been to Childers a few times to do the feel good stories, of something going on, someone had, knitted the longest, scarf or something. Whereas this was a completely different style of even journalism that he was used to, because this was so full on. And he said this was the only story they were running, and it was the only story he was telling because it needed all of that to be told.
And time.
Yeah.
So his name is Paul Cochrane. Yeah, the podcast that he's made is really good.
I haven't listened to the whole thing either, but but I was really into it.
Yeah, he's good. So that's probably. Do you have anything else that you wanted to add in?
I don't
There's
so.
a lot of extra details and stuff that if you listen to that podcast, you can absolutely get a lot more of the nitty gritty detail of it all, and to hear accounts from survivors, and it's interesting hearing from people in the first person, their lived experience and what they remember and what they don't remember. That's what I found really fascinating. He would ask them questions like, oh, so what did you do? How did that happen? The mechanism by which they got out and that kind of thing. And a lot of them don't remember.
No, they just I got out, but I don't know how.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know where I was. I don't even remember what room
I guess that's a bit of that smoke inhalation effect, kind of thing too. That was starting to take effect. I guess it does mess with you.
Yeah.
Just
actually, another thing I did want to raise, and this I think this just is more to how this town changed in an instant because of this fire. One of the survivors remembered a refrigerated room coming in, and that was the makeshift morgue.
Yes.
And he remembers seeing bodies being craned out of the wreck because they couldn't send people in to get the bodies because structurally the place was fucked.
Well, I believe that on the day after the fire, there was, I feel it was the mayor maybe had gone in, definitely the police chief sort of thing. They'd gone in to sort of start kind of trying to look for things, and the roof collapsed in on top of them, literally went right in front of them, and collapsed. Yeah. So it was very dangerous to be in there.
The roof, even though there were these 3 buildings, they were all under one tin roof.
Yeah.
And because it was so hot, there's photos of the tin roof and it looks like molten metal.
Yeah.
It looks like drippy molten metal. It's insane.
Yeah.
That shows the heat of it too. So they had to crane the bodies out because it wasn't safe to send people in.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God, I can't even imagine. And to have to bring in a makeshift morgue because they had 15 bodies they needed to contend with. Yeah. Oh my God,
just awful.
Just can't even.
Absolutely awful. There's obviously the building has been rebuilt, but is now it's an information centre on the bottom ground, and the top level is now a memorial. there's this glass piece that was shipped in from, I believe, Japan, and has been put in there, and they've got actually a glass cabinet that contains like things that the the victims' families have sent to them to be used in the in this memorial to represent them and things like that. So little personal belongings and stuff that are contained in these glass cabinets, and a beautiful mural being painted of all of the victims, and so the family sent in photos of them to be able to be depicted in this mural. And I've seen pictures of it. I haven't seen it live, but it is really stunning and really. I know the artist commented it was definitely the most impactful emotionally to paint and to be a part of that, to represent those families. So it's really. I think apparently it's had over 1 million visitors there in the last 20 years, and it is quite moving to see. So if you are passing through the area, it is worth stopping by and having a moment to visit that.
I've heard that. So in order to maintain that, it really needs the council's support to maintain the memorial, because obviously there's costs associated with it, and so they say if you go there, make sure you sign the visitors book, because the more people that come and bring, it brings people to the area too, which it absolutely needed in the aftermath of all of this, and let people know that you've been there.
The community rallied and supported these people at the time, and as we should rally and support the community. Now they need it as in general, I think too, and to thank them for doing that. I mean, I know that all the survivors, that one of the first things that they all do comment around is that how amazing the town got behind them and supported them. That doesn't happen everywhere to that extent. Like they literally became family, and in that town, and they made sure they had everything they needed. So I think that's absolutely beautiful, and to encourage more of that when there's things that go on, that we all get behind people is really, really special and really important.
I know that for the big dates, so the big anniversary dates, not only survivors attend, but victims' families often attend as well. And it's a really sort of, I guess, it's a way for them to come together and a reason for them to come together and support one another still to this day. It's, 25 years later.
It might be worth mentioning too that I believe it was around about the 20-year mark anniversary, pretty much to the day. The building that they sent the survivors to, where it was a new community centre that had been built, and they'd opened that up to them, burnt down.
Mm-hmm. I know.
I
know.
Holy
what are the chances?
Shit. That just is insane to me to think that. And no arson involved in this. No. Complete freak thing.
Yeah.
But that just is crazy. Yeah.
Yeah, crazy.
So the town's been through enough.
Yeah. I think that's enough.
Totally.
I think that's enough for sure.
Oh, gosh.
For sure. All right. I'm trying to find what we're doing next week.
Next week, we are going to be talking about Cherie Beasley.
This one is too close to home for me.
Yeah.
It is. Oh, my God. Oh, yep. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Stay tuned for that one, everybody. Again, thank you very much for joining us. If you'd like to buy us a coffee, you can do so at buymeacoffee.com/2crimebesties. Our Patreon is patreon.com/2crimebesties. And please join us over on the socials, like, comment, share, follow, all of the things. We really appreciate the support, and it really helps us to get our podcast out to more people.
Yes.
So thank you, everybody.
Thank you very much. Stay curious, Crime Besties.
Bye.